Hey, what's going on YouTube? Or Storm here with another discussion topic today. Today I'm going to talk about something that I've heard a lot of players from other card games talk about. Come over and talk about Yu-Gi-Oh, which is set rotation in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh. Now, give yourselves a little idea of first we're going to talk about what set rotations are, and then talk about where over in the OCG they are actually doing set rotation. So set rotation is in certain card games such as Pokemon, Magic the Gathering. They do what's called a set rotation, where every 2 years they basically sweep the board clean, and any cards that haven't been reprinted within that allotted time frame are no longer legal. So basically, sweeps all the old decks off the board, puts the new decks on the board. Pretty much every format. There's certain cards that have been if it's been reprinted within that allotted time frame, then you can play the deck, which is kind of a interesting way to do things. But it kind of, if you can't, for example, take your old Pokemon deck and play it now because it's not legal to play, and that's basically why it's like that. So over in the OCG, in some territories, this isn't in Japan and Korea where they actually can have access to cards further than us, because typically the OCG gets sets before us a few months in advance. But in certain OCG territories, they're even further behind than we are. So Konami did in those territories was implement set rotation basically until they get updated cards. So what this means is that these territories over there in the OCG have set rotation. Now, why do I think set rotation doesn't necessarily work in Yu-Gi-Oh? Well, unlike these other card games, Yu-Gi-Oh is archetype based, and many people get tied into these archetypes so tightly that they won't give them up. Now, I've told a lot of my Twitch viewers that Battle Boxers have kind of been retired from competitive viability. It does not mean I still won't play the deck. I've just accepted at this point that the deck is lost its competitive viability, with Rhoda going to 1. Again, I'm still like the archetype and I still enjoy it, but there's other people out there who love certain archetypes, and they're not going to just drop those archetypes, and they'll quit the game rather than drop those archetypes. And I just don't think. And the other reason I think we don't need set rotation is we have a ban list in lieu of the set rotation. Typically, the ban list, with the exception of maybe last year, usually sweeps all the old decks off the board typically around October. Now, last year was sort of the exception because we had a very balanced format in terms of what was good. Even though Hat was pretty much the best deck, it was a pretty balanced format in terms of you could play anything. If you had, the staple rank 4s, typically you could do well at events. If you had, for example, say, if you had a couple copies of 101 and you didn't need Exciton Knight, but if you had like 2 101s, a Evolve All Chain, Exciton Knight, in almost any deck, you could do well at events. So, shush cat. But anyway, so basically, that's one of the reasons I think set rotations aren't really that great in Yu-Gi-Oh! Because it's an archetype-based game. And I don't think. The other problem is there's a lot of staple cards. And one thing that's great about Yu-Gi-Oh! Is that every once in a while you'll see this really old card that never saw play will suddenly see play because people have found a usage for it. The perfect example, in my opinion, is a card called Kaiser Coliseum that came out way, way, way back in Magician's Force. Kaiser Coliseum came out in Magician Force, and I think it got reprinted in one of the Dark Revelation sets. And it didn't really see play at the time, of course. Didn't really see play, and then Bujins came around, and nowadays the card has seen play in everything from me personally. I've played it in Battle Boxers. I've seen people playing Constellars, Evil Swarms, and even more recently Cosmos. So I think that the great thing about Yu-Gi-Oh! Is you see older cards become more relevant as people figure out how to use them. They're a great example of older cards such as Stygian Dirge. Vanity's Emptiness is like the perfect example of a card that was really, really old, came out in Star Strike Blast, and became a $40 card because people were main decking 3 copies. So under a set rotation, you have to rely on the fact that Konami is going to reprint those. And outside of certain staples like Bottomless Drop Ult, Torrential Tribute, and maybe MST, they really don't have a record of reprinting staples within a 2-year time frame outside of the Megatins. The Megatins are sort of the exception, but do you really think Konami's going to reprint Mistake again after they just reprinted in the Megatins? Probably not. And that's my point, is that I think set rotations aren't necessary because we have a ban list in lieu of that typically takes care of that. Although I can safely say that as long as I've played the game of Yu-Gi-Oh, I have not seen as drastic of changes as I saw on the November ban list, but it happens. And I just don't think we need a set rotation because we have a ban. We have archetype. It's an archetype based game, and we have a ban list in lieu of that basically replaces that. I think most of the time between the ban list and power creep, one of these two things, decks lose their competitive viability anyways, and we have a set rotation. We just don't have an officially. Decks get power creeps, they get rotated out, or they get hit on the ban list and they get rotated out. So anyway, guys, as always, I'd like to thank you guys for watching my video today. Really appreciate it when you guys watch my videos. Let me know down in the comment section what you think about set rotations in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! And as always, you can like, comment, and subscribe, and also follow me on Twitch if you haven't followed there. And I'll catch you guys later.